shift, the stakes are high. The mag breaks it down, no need to sigh. From EU rules to global news, Reg with Meg, your trusted views.
Hello and welcome back to Reg with Meg. Today we're doing something a little different. This isn't about a new regulation on the horizon. This is about a deadline that is right here, right now. We're talking about EUDAMED.
That's right. The time for planning and discussion is over. On November 27th of last year, 2025, the European Commission published its implementing decision, declaring 4 key EUDAMED modules fully functional. That announcement started a 6-month countdown, and that countdown ends on May 28th of this year. We are in the final stretch.
Exactly. So this episode is a final call to action, a deep dive reminder of what needs to be done, the very real challenges companies are facing right now, and the serious consequences of not being ready. If you're not compliant by May 28th, your ability to sell medical devices in the European Union is at risk.
It's as simple and as serious as that. So let's start with a quick refresher on the 4 modules that are becoming mandatory. Actor registration, UDI and device registration, notified bodies and certificates, and market surveillance. We're going to break each one down in detail. First up, actor registration.
Okay. Actor registration. On the surface, it sounds simple. You register your company. But it's not quite that straightforward. What are the hidden traps here?
That's a crucial point because the perceived simplicity is deceptive. The biggest trap is underestimating the validation timeline. This isn't an automated process where you fill out a form and get a number.
Right.
You submit your application and supporting documents, but then it goes into a queue at your designated National Competent Authority, or NCA, for a manual review. And those NCAs are swamped. This process takes weeks, sometimes more than a month, especially if there are any questions or if a document is missing or incorrect.
So if a company hasn't even started this process by now, what's the reality they're facing?
They are in a very dangerous position. Without your approved single registration number, or SRN, you are locked out of EUDAMED. You cannot proceed to the next, much larger step of registering your devices. The SRN is the key to the entire kingdom. No key, no entry.
Okay, that's a stark warning. Let's move on to the second and arguably the most challenging module, UDI and device registration. This is the real beast in the system, isn't it?
It absolutely is. This is where the sheer scale of this project becomes clear. We are talking about collecting, validating, and submitting hundreds of data points for every single device you market in the EU.
And this data is scattered across the entire company, right? This isn't something one regulatory affairs manager can handle alone.
Not even close. Think about it. You have technical specifications from R&D. You have packaging configurations from manufacturing. You have storage conditions from logistics. You have marketing claims, intended use information, and sterilization details from quality and regulatory. It's a massive cross-functional data mining operation just to get the raw information.
That makes sense. Can you give us an example? Let's say a company that makes surgical gloves versus one that makes a hip implant. The complexity must vary wildly.
Immensely. For the gloves, you might have different sizes and materials. You'll need a basic UDI-DI to group them, and then individual UDI-DIs for each size and material combination. That's already a significant data set.
Mm-hmm.
Now, consider the hip implant. It might come in dozens of sizes with different component materials, with or without special coatings, and it's sold with a specific set of surgical instruments. The number of data attributes explodes. Each combination is a registrable device. We see companies with thousands of SKUs that suddenly realize they have to manage millions of data points.
And what about legacy devices? Devices that have been on the market for years?
That's another major challenge. The data for these older products might be archived, stored in outdated systems, or just plain incomplete by today's standards. Hunting it down and ensuring it's accurate is a huge resource drain that many companies have underestimated.
Let's move to the third module, notified bodies and certificates. How does this change the game for transparency?
This module essentially puts everyone's cards on the table. In the past, confirming the validity of a CE certificate could be a cumbersome process. Now, notified bodies are required to upload all issued certificates directly into EUDAMED.
And this information is linked directly to the device registrations we just talked about.
Precisely. It creates an unbroken, publicly verifiable chain of trust. A regulator, a competitor, or even a hospital procurement officer can look up a device and instantly see its valid CE certificate, who issued it, and when it expires. If your certificate is suspended or withdrawn, that information will be visible. There's nowhere to hide.
That has huge implications for due diligence and commercial relationships. And that brings us to the fourth module, market surveillance. How does this empower the authorities?
It connects them in real time. For EUDAMED, if the German authorities found the non-compliant device, communicating that efficiently to authorities in, say, Poland or Spain was slow. Now, they log it in the market surveillance module, and every regulator in the EU can see it instantly.
So, a small local compliance issue can become a pan-European problem for a manufacturer overnight.
Exactly. It accelerates and harmonizes enforcement. The days of a problem staying contained in one member state are over. This unified system means a unified response, which is great for patient safety but puts immense pressure on manufacturers to be compliant everywhere, all the time.
Okay, so we've detailed the what. Let's pivot to the how. We've established this is a massive data project. What are the practical strategies for companies that are now racing against the clock?
The number one strategy is to get out of spreadsheets. Many companies started their data collection in Excel, which was fine for an initial gap analysis. But for ongoing management and submission, it's a recipe for disaster.
Why is that? What's the specific risk?
Manual data entry errors, version control chaos, a simple typo in a device identifier, or a date entered in the wrong format can cause a submission to be rejected. When you're managing thousands of records, these errors are inevitable. It creates a huge administrative burden of troubleshooting and resubmitting.
So what's the alternative?
Investing in a robust solution. This could be an internal system, but for many, especially small to medium enterprises, the most effective route is partnering with a third-party service provider. These providers offer software platforms specifically designed for EUDAMED.
They handle the technical side of things, the machine-to-machine submissions.
Yes, they manage the complex XML submissions, they have built-in data validation rules that catch errors before they go to EUDAMED, and they provide an audit trail. It turns a chaotic data entry task into a managed, repeatable process. At this late stage, trying to build a similar system in-house is likely impossible. A good partner can get you onboarded in weeks.
Let's talk about the ultimate consequences. We said market access is at risk. Let's paint a picture of what happens on May 29th if a company is not compliant.
It's not a pretty picture. Firstly, for any new device you want to launch, you simply cannot. You cannot place a device on the market legally without it being registered in EUDAMED. Your product launch is dead on arrival.
Wow. What about existing products?
That's where the market surveillance module becomes your biggest nightmare. Competent authorities will be actively looking for discrepancies. If your devices are on the shelf but not in the database, you are non-compliant. This can trigger audits, fines, and ultimately forced market withdrawal. An NCA can issue an order to stop sales.
And this impacts the entire supply chain, doesn't it? Importers, distributors.
Absolutely. They have their own obligations to verify that the manufacturer has complied. If you haven't, they are legally prohibited from placing your product on the market. Your own partners become the gatekeepers who have to shut you out. It can destroy commercial relationships.
This all seems overwhelming, but it's important to remember that this isn't the end of the EUDAMED story. There are still more modules to come.
That's a fantastic point to make. The Vigilance module, which covers incident reporting, is slated to become mandatory in the second quarter of 2027. The systems and processes you build right now to handle device registration should be designed with that in mind.
So the work you do now isn't just a one-time project. It's foundational for future compliance. A short-term, panicked fix will only create more problems down the line.
Totally. If you get your data governance right now, create a single source of truth for your device data, establish clear cross-functional workflows, and implement a robust submission system, then integrating the vigilance module later becomes a much more manageable task. If you don't, you'll be facing this same fire drill all over again in a year.
Okay, we're almost out of time. Let's distill this into a final urgent checklist for our listeners. If they do nothing else after hearing this podcast, what are the 3 things they must do?
1. Check your actor registration status. If you don't have a confirmed SRN in your hand today, you need to be escalating this with your competent authority immediately.
Okay, that's number 1. What's 2?
2. Get real about your data. If your plan is still based on a giant spreadsheet and manual data entry, you need to acknowledge that this plan will likely fail. You must look at a more robust solution, and that probably means contacting a specialized service provider today.
Be honest about your capabilities. And number 3?
3. Communicate. Communicate upwards to your management about the serious commercial risk of noncompliance. Don't let this be a regulatory problem. It's a fundamental business continuity issue. And communicate outwards to your importers and distributors. Let them know your status and your plan to ensure they can continue selling your products after May 28th.
Excellent summary. The deadline is not a drill. It is real, it is firm, and it is just around the corner. Thank you for these critical insights. And to our listeners, we can't stress this enough. The time to act is now. As always, stay informed and stay compliant.
Bye, guys.